Okay. So in 2005, you were a rookie, and I always the thing about going through a season like the Texans are going through right now at 1-7-1 was as a veteran player, I felt I felt like I was letting down a lot of people by like not being a better example or a better leader providing a better culture because I know what it's like to step into something like that. So today, I do want to talk about Brandon Cooks. I want to talk about the interior offensive line because Kenyon Green is a rookie interior offensive lineman the way you were on a really bad football team. Lovie Smith's defense in general because our defense sucked that year in 2005 when we went 2-14. And then we've got some Derek Carr press conference because the Raiders are going through a miserable season too. And Derek Carr got emotional, or at least appeared to be emotional. I don't know if you saw the press conference yet or not, Drew, but
I did.
okay.
Yeah, I did.
What's your before we go over it a little bit later? What was your impression? Genuine emotions or contrived emotions?
I think when you're finding yourself in a moment to I mean, it's intense to kind of be on display post competitive moment anyway.
Yeah.
But I think when you may have talked yourself into a little bit of theater on the emotional side, then it all can kind of quickly transition into actual tears, no matter what. I think that
Oh
might, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, I think that
Yeah.
you're, maybe he went a little too method
He
and
method
then it
acted his
all,
way into it. Good for
yeah, I
him.
think it kind of stumbled into it because it definitely comes off as pretty weird, pretty uncomfortable. It was hard to watch.
Okay, so we'll get to that because it's beautiful. It's beautiful theater
Oh
or
yeah,
real raw
yeah.
emotion, whatever it is. Okay, so you come in, you're a rookie, you get to the NFL, all your dreams have been fulfilled, and it's just a matter of time until glory and greatness, and you find yourself on a team that's 2-14. It's going to go 2-14, and we're a mess in a lot of ways that year.
Mm.
I'm trying to remember if there's any drama like there's been with Brandon Cooks, where Brandon Cooks wanted to get traded, uh, voiced his displeasure after the trade, went MIA, ended up not playing in a football game,
Right.
and then all of a sudden finds himself back in, in not playing in a football game versus the best team in the league at the time in the Eagles. Just basically abandoning everybody the week before the Eagles game.
Yeah.
But then finds himself reinstated. I don't remember any drama quite like that because I don't know if I've seen that kind of drama really anywhere in the NFL at any point for a veteran player.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. We didn't have any veterans that, I mean, to be honest, the veterans that I perceived at the time, especially as a rookie, that were there and kind of picking up the torch, it was, it was you, it was Kylie Long. Kylie went down with a pretty brutal knee injury, I remember, like midway through the year.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have veterans at the time that had that kind of open malcontent. I mean, there wasn't really anyone like that. And honestly, I think also Derek Carr had such a squeaky clean
David Carr.
image.
Yeah.
David, excuse me.
No, I do it all the
Older
time.
older brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That he kind of felt like he was just exempt from any kind of drama or scrutiny from the
Yeah.
press. So even if he had been doing anything, then it just wasn't even going to remotely get caught that way.
Yeah, so we didn't. That was I can't. I'm trying to not feel like a grumpy old man about this Brandon Cooks stuff, and I feel like Brandon Cooks kind of looks like he's 40 years old, and he's always got a grumpy look on his. Like
Right.
he's kind of
Yeah.
serious, like a dad that you would be scared of.
Right.
So I feel like it's in a special. It's especially a betrayal because it feels like he's kind of a boomer or Gen X.
Yeah, it does.
And like he's being the most diva-like possible guy right now, which you'd heard rumors about, or at least there was speculation when he was a young player in New Orleans that he was a malcontent, but there were never any reports after that. The question I always get that I struggle to answer is when people ask, like, well, what's it like in the locker room when a guy does that and then he comes back?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because I don't have any experience with what Brandon Cooks has done. I do know that you kind of compartmentalize things in a lot of ways with a lot of guys that you might not think are you might not be cool with things that they've done either
Right.
on the field, in the locker room, or in their personal lives, but you just kind of compartmentalize. I feel like now that he's back, it's probably not that big a deal, or am I crazy on that?
No, and I think especially to your point, I mean, that's a big deal if you're making a playoff push, if you're a team that's really competing.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're in survival mode and you're on a 1-8-1 team, potentially, then I don't think that's something that you have the luxury of fixating on when you're a player in the locker room. I mean, like you said, it's all about the compartmentalization skills that you've accrued over time. Like when you're on a bad team, I mean, that's just not where your head's at.
So I want to show you this. Since and we'll jump right to it since I jumped into it accidentally. The interior offensive line, and this is why I wanted to talk to you too, because you were a rookie that year. You're trying to learn how to play center.
Right.
You weren't starting, and you weren't a first-round pick like Kenyon Green. But Kenyon Green, first-round pick, left guard here. This play, and I only do this almost for anybody watching this that thinks that any pressure up the center is the fault of the interior offensive line. I always double check with you, as you know, on who screwed up on whichever play. But I gotta say, this one, it feels like it's all Davis Mills, because there's an overload blitz where you have 5 guys against 3, 4 if you include Rex Burkhead, on the left side of the offensive line, and they just get overwhelmed and destroyed. It's a corner blitz, so like Davis Mills there, for one, should have seen that coming pre-snap, or at the very least anticipated it. So he gets crushed there. That's probably not the best example of why the interior line is weak right there, is it?
No, I mean, it's the fact that they're showing it so early is concerning. I mean, when your rep is that you're a smart guy, and you're not going to out-athlete guys, especially edge pressure like that, then you have to see it before, and they're literally showing it.
Right,
Everyone's
it's right
standing
there.
in the line.
Like,
it's right
it
there.
shouldn't be a surprise to you.
Yeah, I mean, other teams handle protections differently when they show it like that. They'll have the offensive line all come down, and they'll have the running back take the widest edge defense, things like that. But that's incidental. You can assume that they knew what they were doing because there were bodies on bodies, and they didn't do a phenomenal job of picking it up. But still, he's got to know he has no time there, and he doesn't look like he even had a clue that that's what was going on.
So that one's on Davis Mills, and I'm going to try to be like as even-handed as possible with Davis Mills, because he's a second-year player, and I get frustrated, and I want to crush him at times. This is a really nice would-be touchdown throw to Brandon Cooks. It's relevant too, because I think he makes a better read on this than he did earlier in the game on a play I'm going to show you. But so this ends up being a really nice throw to Brandon Cooks.
Mills looks, throw,
touchdown.
Brandon Cooks. In recent weeks.
But the problem is that it gets called back because Kenyon Green gets called for a hold. And the other part about Kenyon Green, Drew, is that he's faced 3 weeks in a row, Tennessee, then the Eagles, and now the Giants, like some really good.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not getting any reprieve.
No,
on being a rookie. So
so I want to get your opinion on this hold. We can watch it a couple times because I didn't send this to you beforehand. But he's one-on-one here.
Tennessee had to deal with the Philadelphia guys.
Yeah,
I mean that's just hands are on the outside. There's that's just bad from the get-go there.
Yeah, it is. That's just it is what it is.
Yeah. So I mean what have you been seeing from him? Because he was a mauler in college, and I feel like he's trying to learn how to play with technique and with his hands. And he's not.
Well, what's doesn't look great on this too is that he's setting to an inside guy, so he's getting beat all the way to the outside pretty clean. I mean that's not what you want, right? Like you got to play the angles. I mean he should be just setting, knowing he has the center is setting away in the slide pro. The center's helping him with the post. Yeah. So there's no reason for him to set all the way inside and get beat by an outside move.
Yeah, and that. Okay.
I mean, that's you got to think like if you've done pass pro all through college against good defenders, especially a guard, like you're heavy inside. Don't give that up. That's a little. But it's easy to say. These are good rushers. I mean, these guys are good. It's not, it's not an accident.
Right. But he's also like
he's a high pick.
I get the sense with him that he's trying real hard to do the right thing, and he's just
He doesn't look lazy. That's not the problem.
No.
That's not the problem. Like, he doesn't look like he's not giving effort. So that's the thing where he's clearly an athlete. He can move pretty good for a guy who looks that heavy. But
okay. Now that's another part of him, because I think sometimes we talk about, guys getting in the NFL weight room and how much that can change them, or getting the NFL dietitian's advice.
Yeah.
That's what he needs. The only thing I worry about is that, he went to A&M. It's not like he was lacking for resources.
100%.
It's not like they weren't lifting weights or anything. I'd love to blame this on Jimbo Fisher with the year that Jimbo Fisher is having, but
it's not an FBS guy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who was at a preeminent program that has all the support that you need to be good. So
that's where I think, Laramie Tunsil keeps himself in really good shape, almost too much so. Like, until this year, where Laramie Tunsil, I think something got into him, and it might be the offensive line coach, where Laramie's starting to care a lot more about run blocking, which I like. He was almost a little too pretty for my own liking before, as far as
You're too vascular. You're a little too vascular and long. I need a guy with a little more, some curves.
Dwayne Brown went through that. Dwayne Brown got slimmed down one year, and I'm like, all right, that's great and all. And I know in the Kubiak offense, it's good to be more athletic, but you're about 10 pounds below your ideal weight. Totally. And it was like once Halloween hit, all of a sudden he started playing better, because I think he hit the Halloween candy hard, and then he was all right. So
can't relate.
Kenyon Green has to be somewhere between Laramie Tunsil and, I don't know who's the fattest. Texans have had.
He's got a soft body. I mean, he kind of looks like he's a little bit of a soft body.
His face is kind of like, he looks like an adolescent boy.
The problem, though, this, Seth, is that it's really hard. You can project onto any offensive lineman's body whatever the performance issues are that they're having. Yeah. It's really easy to do that. It's because every offensive lineman can be shaped a lot of different ways, and they can be good in a myriad of ways, regardless of how they look. It's weird, man. It's really weird. I mean, he can come out next year, look twice as doughy, and just be better because he got his body weight in the right spot. You know what I mean? He's just taking better angles. It's tricky.
Okay, so this is Charles Davis, who's the commentator. I like getting Charles Davis because I feel like he actually studies the games. The film that
he does.
I like learning something about. You know who else? Adam Archuleta, because he's done a couple games this year.
Yeah,
I like Archuleta played in Lovie Smith's defense. I feel like when defensive backs,
that's right.
They're like you with offensive linemen, where you always kind of, you never want to criticize totally and completely because you don't know what the call was.
Right. You don't want to completely destroy them when you realize they were actually supposed to have help. Yeah.
Or they're covering for somebody else. That's the big one. There's a few little film heads that are learning the game. A lot of times what happens when somebody has a really bad rep on film, it's actually because they were expecting help from somebody, so they don't get the help, and then all of a sudden, like, you've left that gap wide open, and you're screwed. So
just the most egregious-looking fails.
Charles Davis talked about the play action and how the Texans have been getting duped on it, and you could tell they had this ready to go, like this was a package they had talked about beforehand, so they were setting it up, during the game, looking for elements of this, and you saw, I mean, this is just so perfect. This is what happens. It's just a good display, and it was really quick during the game, so I want people to see just how wide open it is right there when the linebackers bite on play action, and your safeties could do better, but that's supposed to be a more uncomfortable throw. Even if the linebackers aren't perfect in coverage, their bodies are supposed to be there, and it just leaves everything wide open, and it happens routinely enough. The thing that upsets me there is that that's the kind of thing that really, for one, Christian Kirksey is there because he's a veteran player. He's got to be showing those younger guys cues
not
film.
To do that.
Yeah, that's stuff that you just there's a tell somewhere. There's a tell that's telling these guys, a smart veteran linebacker, that no, this isn't actually run. You don't have to fill this hard. And they're not getting it done. That's the kind of stuff that I worry about. Although it wasn't as bad.
It's pretty rough, though. I mean, it's the inverse of what happens when early in a season you're on offense and you've gotten smoked on specific blitzes or just blitzes in general, pressures. You know that now the whole rest of the year, everyone's just going to be bringing the heat. and they've been getting burnt on the ground.
Yeah.
They've just been giving up chunks of yardage. And so now it's like they're going to get it. They're just going to get this play action the whole rest of the year.
And you know what? This one wasn't even as great as an example of it. This was.
But they got all three of them.
Daniel Jones made a good play. Well, he got to safety too.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, which is coming. Oh, yeah, but then he got dusted. Yeah, it's like that every week. Christian Harris played well this last week. I felt like it was his first really kind of big time actually played a complete game, wasn't making a bunch of rookie errors. Okay, this is the last one that we're going to go through, and I want you to get ready to get your oh no, you know what, we'll do one more first because I'm going to play you a little bit of what I did for KHOU Channel 11 on Sunday night, which was this play. This play had a lot of people. I'm going to have my voice on there. Everybody, you're going to get treated a double Seth Payne today. So this is the play that a lot of people were upset about because it looked like Brandon Cooks was wide open. And, sometimes you wonder on TV copy, like, okay, well, maybe I didn't see the whole picture. Let me take you through this breakdown. This play had a lot of people talking because it sure did look like Brandon Cooks could have been wide open for a touchdown on 3rd and 9. Instead, Davis Mills attempted a pass to Chris Moore. It did not work out. And right here is the read. This is where he should know that Brandon Cooks is even with the cornerback. That means he's leaving that cornerback. But you think, oh, maybe it's a muddy pocket. Maybe there was pressure. No. Look in the lower right-hand corner. At this exact time, Davis Mills had space. He had time to throw. He just chose the conservative route. This is how you keep games close into the fourth quarter, but don't win those games. It's a lack of aggressiveness. Davis Mills hasn't figured this out yet. He's got to get aggressive earlier, more often, be more confident, see guys become open before they're open. Mills had space. And actually, that's where I like, especially when you talk about being aggressive. If he's going to throw to Chris Moore right there, which isn't the right read is like you see, okay, you understand these guys are locked up in man.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you see that, the quarterback, a veteran quarterback knows, oh, okay.
It's one-on-one.
It's
one-on-one. He's got to be. They're hip to hip.
Yeah. And they're hip to hip. He's even, he's leaving. Like, that's the throw right there. But even if it isn't, like, you still should know instantly if for whatever reason, remember, it's 3rd and 7 here. So if for whatever reason you decide that, oh, I'm going to go with Chris Moore because look at all the space he's got, and I'll get and then he'll have room to get up there and get the first down. That's an easy throw. He waited too long on it. And that's like, so there just doesn't end up. That's the part that's frustrating right now. I'm trying to stay calm and remember that he's just a second-year player. He didn't have a bunch of starts in college, and that he can get better. It's just that right now there's nothing that makes me feel like, oh yeah, this guy's the guy. He'll be fine. Look at him. He's on his way.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's you're watching it, and I think for the most part, you're doing your best to be completely objective about what the product is, given all those things. Didn't play a ton of games in college, didn't play a ton of games yet in the NFL, but it's hard to see the silver lining anywhere because he's not very accurate. He throws high a lot of the time. It looks like it's gotten better the last couple of weeks, to be honest, but still, and he doesn't look like he has the inherent ability to just make plays, which it sounds so simple, but we were texting about it. It's just, at the end of the day, he's got to show you that he just will make a play. He'll turn the long yardage, those long yardage 3rd downs and convert them. He'll do something when he's scrambling. He's shown that he can get away from trouble a little bit, but nothing good happens when he's doing it.
He's had a few like laser throws into the end zone. He showed some touch to the Nico Collins touchdown on that Nico Collins touchdown. I think the problem is that he is a quarterback who, if he's going to develop, needs to follow the same trajectory as the old school quarterback developing. Right. Guy, like Eli Manning, it took like 4 years for him to be any good. In the modern NFL, there's just too many guys that can kill you with their legs early on and can do well immediately. So you start thinking, like, oh, okay, well, you should know what you have in a quarterback in the first 2 years.
They can at least compensate with their athleticism early to make up for those mistakes, the learning curve.
And Mills isn't going to do that. I think the biggest lie he's ever told was with his 40 time, because he ran like a 4.6 something 40, which is absurd because he doesn't have that football speed.
No, it doesn't look that way. It doesn't look that way. I mean, he can scramble a little bit outside of the pocket, but he just looks so uncomfortable when he's doing it.
I think that play right there that we showed is with a guy like Mills, what it needs to be, and maybe it will someday. I mean, Geno Smith is now a thing after just being written off by me and others for years and years.
Wild,
I think it took him time to figure it out. And I think with Davis Mills, like that read right there that we just watched is one that just it has to be instantaneous. Like you just know it because you've seen it. And I think sometimes there's a tendency to think, well, because he went to Stanford, he's a smart guy. Well, that helps you when you're working on your SATs and you've got 30 to 60 seconds for each problem versus snap decisions like that. Okay, so this is the last thing I wanted to show you, which is the tour de force that is an emotional Derek Carr.
For being emotional.
Okay, so here's Derek Carr after the loss the other day, and I'm not listen, everybody. I'm not laughing at Derek Carr's emotion, but if you're gonna be emotional, I'm gonna make a couple requests of you.
I'm just pissed off about some of the things, that a lot of us try and do just to practice what we put our bodies through just to sleep at night.
It's a pregnant pause.
And for that to be the result of all that effort pisses me off. Pisses a lot of guys off. It's hard knowing what some guys are doing. Like I said, just to practice what they're putting in their body just to sleep at night. Like just so we could be there for each other.
Okay. I couldn't get past this part of it.
It's hard. It's really hard to watch.
Dude, no, there's like twice he's talking about the stuff they put in their bodies to sleep at night. Like, dude,
yeah.
What are you, like you're inviting an investigation or something?
100%,
You're diming out your teammates for, and I don't, like, honestly.
Yeah, I don't want to name names, but there's 3 guys in alphabetical order that have been,
I don't know. And honestly, I'm not even this isn't like false ignorance here or anything. I don't know what he's talking about. Like, is he just talking about Ambien or guys taking too much Vicodin or?
Don't you get the impression he probably just means like guys are taking like Advil before they go to bed at night, and he's kind of like reading into it. I just feel like that's
because he's like totally a naturopath.
Yes,
so
it's like that's like the Carr energy that I get.
They're putting NSAIDs into their body, which are just devastating to your gut. And over time that really can upset your GI tract, and you don't want to mess with your microbiome. Yeah, the blood-brain barrier and all that stuff. I listen to a podcast. I listen to a Joe Rogan podcast. I gotta tell you, I feel like I know this stuff pretty well. They're putting a lot of stuff in their bodies.
But am I crazy, or is the accent is throwing me off more than I think almost the emotion that's coming out? I feel like suddenly he just transitioned into this is like Yellowstone. I don't know where that came from.
That's a very good observation. You and Lamont, one of our listeners on the morning show, feel the same way about the Yellowstone. Like he could totally be
it's weird
learning how to rope calves and ride fences and whatever else they do in that show. Are you watching Yellowstone this year?
No, I'm not. I kind of took a stab at it, and it just is a little too. It feels too networky.
I'm almost out. I'm almost out now. It's too much. I can't stand
too dramatic.
Too many montages too, man. Like last year they were all about the sliding horses, the cutting horses, but they like showed them slide over and over and over again. This year, I think it's going to be a whole lot of like the cowboys themselves roping and stuff. These barrel racers. Every time they introduce a new one, I just want to vomit. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And Beth, like I don't like her. I just don't like her. I know that's supposed to be your thing and everything, but I just don't like Beth. All right? I'm done. Rip's an idiot for putting up with her. So, Carr, okay, you're right about the accent because you grew up in suburban Houston and Fresno. I don't know where the
Right.
accent comes from. And like honestly, like in intentionally poor English at times, because I know David Carr. Like I know that
Yes.
family.
Yes.
They didn't
That
talk.
No.
It's cool if like where you grow up, that's how you talk. But that's not how they talked. Where they grew. He didn't grow up in a family.
No.
That's would be saying
No.
like I ain't no and all that stuff. So I feel like that's all contrived.
It's
Yeah.
strange. Yeah, it
Okay,
feels like
so-
performance. Yeah,
So
it's
he
a little
dimes out his teammates for what they might be putting in their bodies at night, and I still don't know what it would be, other than like honestly, like if they're drinking a ton of whiskey or something, then that's bad, obviously. But I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
So here's
And I wish everybody in that room felt the same way about this place. And as a leader, that pisses me off, if I'm being honest.
I am really TO'd.
and that's okay. So that's the other part that bothers me is that this is not the first time that he's kind of taken advantage of his pulpit to set himself apart from the guys who don't care on the team.
Yeah,
But
right.
rest assured, he's going to
cares.
talk to them about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but I'm going to let you know that I care, but I'm going to talk to those guys who don't care. Earlier in the season, he said, hey, there's things I could say up here, but I'm just – and he got dramatic. I'm not going to say it. And I don't – it's like the guys that let you know they're injured. So just in case they have a
Of
bad
course.
performance,
Yeah.
they've got an
They
excuse
fought
to-
through it. They fought through it, though.
Yeah, it's false. It's false selflessness, and
It is.
Yeah,
It
I'm
is.
tired of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell guys on the Texans right now. If you were a player and you were to get up, let's role play, Drew. If the Texans had lost last week to the Giants, which they did, and you just felt like, all right, that's it, I got to say something. What are you saying to the Texans right now? Like they could actually, if advice that if heeded would actually potentially pull them out of this morass.
What is my role in this? Am I the quarterback in this situation? Am I Davis Mills? Am I Drew but Davis Mills? What's my place in this hypothetical?
You're Drew, but you are let's say you're a rookie center who's having an all-pro season.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's like you're the one revelation, like the one good thing the Texans have going.
God,
this
it's weird.
year.
I feel like I've lived that life.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's like
Yeah.
you're this phenom rookie center, and you've never been through anything like this, and you got to speak up and say something.
Oh yeah. To be honest, I could absolutely see a scenario where that would happen too, right? I mean, because you have nothing to lose, really.
Right.
I mean, there's a good chance a lot of those coaches are gone.
Uh-huh.
There's a pretty good chance that people are actually going to listen to you because the other given leader that they just hand the mantle to is a quarterback who's in his second year and not doing very well. And then the other captain is on the outs. So what I would see is a power vacuum that I would obviously have to fill that void gladly. I think what you got to do is you just go like you just got to go full like hate mode. It's got to be fiery practices and just pitching fights left and right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's got to be. It's got to just
fight.
be full fights. I mean, I
Just
think that's
get
kind of
after
the. Yeah, I'm
No,
I'm not kidding either. I think
Yes.
that's the route you go. You turn every competitive period into fight mode, and I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the route you go because why not? I mean, there's no. I'm almost honestly a little surprised that they're not. I don't really get the vibe that they're acting like the season is a foregone conclusion because that 100% is. They're going to win they're going to win one or two more games.
I like that thinking though, because there was a story about when Robert Quinn got traded to the Eagles. One of the defensive linemen came up to Robert Quinn, one of the veteran defensive linemen, I can't remember which one, walked up to Robert Quinn and said something along the lines of like, hey, nice to meet you. Just so you know, we practice hard here. And then walked away. We're not, it's like, some teams get this culture where the veteran players want to brother-in-law each other and everything. And for whatever it's worth, and who knows like just how true that story is, with the Eagles, they said like, no, we practice hard here. So yeah, like have the kinds of practices where if some guys think you're going too hard and start a
you
fight
got
over
it. Because it's also, to me, at least psychologically, the only really way that you can not fall into like the mundane and then you just get bad.
If it gets stale.
It gets stale. It gets
really
even worse.
stale.
It gets you get even worse, and you can't have it.
Let's see. James Post says, thanks for putting this on today. Makes my lunch much more fun.
Nice.
Thank you, James.
There we go.
I made your lunch